In the fabled land of Northern California, nestled in the Valley of Sacramento, two friends begin a journey to enlighten the world about their experience living life as a Xennial. But what is a Xennial, you may ask? If you wish to know, then follow them on their adventures.
Welcome to the Xennial Chronicles. This is James.
This is Mike.
And can you believe it, Mike? We're actually doing 2 episodes in a row.
Don't curse it. Don't curse it. This year has been absolutely nuts. I am still very nervous. I am extremely nervous. I do not know what to expect.
I'm sure you were nervous earlier when out of the blue because we're doing this again on Tuesday. This is our new day. Tuesday's our new day. So this is May 2nd that we're doing this podcast.
Yep.
You won't hear it until the following Monday. This is May 2nd that we're recording this. And we had thunderstorms here in the North Valley of California in May.
It's dumb.
So we weren't even sure if we'd be able to do this with the thunderstorms happening. Luckily, it hit you first, and then it hit me, and then by the time it hit me, it was kind of dissipated. Got a little bit of thunder, but yeah, just craziness still with the weather. Craziness still with this is just one of those years,
dude. Yeah, it's too much. It's too much, man. There's a lot going on. I have been trying to keep a hold of my life just with the thing with me, I had to turn down, it kind of sucked. I had a friend of mine who had actually gotten an extra ticket to go see Les Claypool and can't remember who the other band was, but I think Danny Carey's playing with him right now. And I want to see both of them very badly. And I had to turn it down because I have to work. Because I work outside. I have the live sound I do outside. And I'm sorry, I got to take the opportunity. I can't say I don't enjoy my job. I absolutely do. But I'm like, damn it. Wish I could take that opportunity. It's a free ticket. I would love to take it, but I can't. That's fine.
Yeah, you got to go with the money.
I got to make the money right now. I've got things to prepare for. So, yeah.
But today I do have a few. I know we did last week was a big info dump of the 2 months that we kind of missed time. But I have some updates from some of the things we talked about on that.
Mm-hmm.
We're still going to at some point letting it rest and sit with us for a little bit longer. We will have our kind of further review of 72 Seasons, the new Metallica album. Because we did talk about it a little bit. But I wanted to give a quick update on the situation with my dad, who used to be a listener, but because of where he's living now, back at his place, he doesn't get very good internet, so it's hard for him to stream anything and listen to us in any way.
Oh,
but
sucks.
part of the reason that I had to miss the time over the 2 months we talked about last week was dealing with some illness stuff with my dad, and he had last week he had a follow-up doctor appointment that he picked me up for. He drove, picked me up, took me to the appointment, and I was there basically as a second set of ears to hear what the doctor had to say and, make sure that he has at least one other person that knows what's going on with all of his health stuff in case he can't make decisions for himself health-wise. And he picked me up, drove me there, so it was about a two and a half hour drive from his house to about a 2-hour drive from his house to where the doctor's office was. Drove me back. We had lunch. He went and did some shopping and then drove home all by himself. And
That's
I'd say
fantastic.
back up to about 90% of how he was before he got sick, which means he is doing a hell of a lot better. His treatments are working and he's almost back to full form, which is fantastic.
That's amazing, man. That's really cool to hear. That's awesome.
I rode in the car with him driving, and I haven't ridden in the car with him driving in 7-8 years.
I figured it had to be a while.
And Mike can tell you, I don't normally ride in the car with other people. Typically, I'm the driver.
No, you're the driver. Yep, you drive. I feel weird because I tend to drive normally, but I get it.
Yeah, I think I've in the past 20 years, I think I've ridden with you once, and that was just a few years ago. And all we did was go and grab food
Oh yeah.
a couple miles away from your house.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like we were in the car for any length of time. The only person I ever really ride in a car with for any length of time is my wife, and I taught her how to drive. When we first started dating, she didn't have a driver's license. She had never really driven before. And so when it was time that we were talking about getting married, and the purpose kind of getting married was we wanted to have a family, I made it very clear to her that, okay, if you're going to have my spawn and take care of them, you do need to be able to drive them around. They need a mom who can drive them. So, and I you need that independence of being able to drive and do stuff. I'm going to be working. At least that was the plan at the time. I'm going to be working. You're going to be taking care of little mini James children running around making your life havoc. So you need to be able to drive. You need a license. We need to teach you how to drive. So I taught her how to drive, and there are some things that are very evident in the way that she drives that she definitely learned from me. Some things I later learned that she had learned from her grandparents, in so much as her right foot gets a little bit heavy sometimes on that long pedal. And it keeps it depressed a little longer than it should be, a little more than it should be. She's working on that. But otherwise, I know what she sees when she's driving. I know, what she's noticing and how she's reacting because I taught her how to do all those things. So and she's a good driver. So I'm exceedingly comfortable with her in the car. She is the only person that I'm comfortable with in the car. Now, I want to say, I rode with you. You're a fine driver, sir.
Well, thank you.
Doesn't mean I'm comfortable completely because it's still not me driving the damn car.
No, I'm right there with you. I completely understand that. That's just sometimes you have to have your hands on the wheel in order to be comfortable in a car. It also depends on the type of car. Like, I could see you not being comfortable in any of the cars while I'm driving because mine are all falling apart. And I completely understand that.
No,
or that may add an element. I don't know.
Actually, it doesn't really. It doesn't really, because what I figure is even if you have a car that's, because I've had cars that are falling apart before.
Mm-hmm.
I've had many of them. It's only recently, only the last 2 years that my wife and I have actually had really decent cars that aren't falling apart.
Right.
Previous to that, that's all we've had is cars that are kind of barely limping along, and maybe one's working for a while and the other one's not working for a while. And just the standard American thing, right? My thought is always, if you're regularly using that car, even if it looks and sounds like it's falling apart, if you're getting back and forth to where you need to with it, you must know that car's personality, that car's intricacies, that car's, whatever that it's got going on, because you are able to get back and forth with that thing. So I trust in the sense that I don't worry about the broken downness of a car, because if you can make it get you where you need to get you, you understand that car. You understand it enough that that's not the concern. I'm usually more concerned with what you notice the other cars around you doing. What the driver, I should say, what the driver notices the other cars around them doing, how they react to that, how they, their spatial awareness and things. That's more of the things I'm concerned about. Because again, if you know your car, you can get your car to do what you need it to do, regardless of how it may sound or look or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's so much more about them having an understanding and an awareness of the stuff around them, and that's more of a big key to me than it is the working nature of a car. If the driver's unsettled with the way that the car is sounding and acting, then I become unsettled. If the driver seems to be comfortable and doesn't worry about any weird noises or whatever, then I'm just assuming, okay, this is how this car works, and this person knows how to make it work. So I'm not going to worry about that part of the situation. You get to know your vehicle. And now, at the same token, if I've ridden around in your vehicle and I've heard all these weird sounds and all these different things, and maybe one time I've ridden around in your vehicle and heard all that, and then I, for some reason, might have to drive your vehicle, oh, hell no, I'm going to be scared as shit because I don't know what's going on with your car. But and I don't know what I might do wrong to mess that shit up, because you know your car. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's the only, I am a little leery about driving other people's cars, only because I don't know the car, and my car, even if it's not my current car, any car that I've had that has been my car's or my responsibility, I take that responsibility seriously, and I think other people do the same. So I don't want to mess somebody else's car up. And so I am very, very scared when I'm driving other people's cars because I don't want to fuck up your car. Because I would be
That's
really,
fair.
really mad if somebody did the same to mine, which is why nobody ever drives my car.
Right.
Literally the only person other than me who has driven my car since it was bought has been my wife. And because again, I trust her to drive my car. I also trust to know that my car's got one of those cool, because again, newer car, so it's got one of those cool features where it will tell you what your average speed is.
Mm-hmm.
I know that when she's driven it, my average speed goes up about 10 miles an hour. But, and I understand it's hard not to in that car. It's fun. It likes to zoom. But yeah, it's just one of those cars are important to people. Our culture is such that we need them for not just mode of transportation, but really for our livelihoods. And so it's, just one of my other weird eccentricities is just a real focus on people's vehicles, I guess.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But no, sir, I will admit that, yes, I would not have, the car of yours, what is it, a Honda, right? Your little Honda?
Yeah, I have the little Honda.
Yeah. I would never, ever hop in that thing and try to drive that thing because I would be too terrified of any, because even when I rode in it, there were noises that was a little like, okay, well, Mike is cool,
Fair.
so I'm cool. But at the same time, if I needed to ride somewhere with you, I would have no problem getting in the passenger seat and riding with you.
Oh, good. Well, I appreciate that.
So you now 20 some odd years ago when we first met, fuck no would I ever get in
Oh
the car
God, no,
with
I was
you.
a terrible driver. No, I wouldn't recommend riding in a car with me at that time. I became much more understanding and cautious a driver in more recent years. Yes.
Yes, I will. I will attest. Again, the only time I never was in the car with you way back then. As far as you driving, I don't think I ever got in the car and you drove anywhere. Back at that time period, and yeah, I probably wouldn't have.
You probably shouldn't have.
Yes, probably saved me from a lot of frustration. But anyway, but no, my again, back to what I was originally saying. My dad did a flawless job of getting back and forth to his stuff, and he's feeling great. He's feeling good about his progress. He has a lot more confidence in himself, I think, and more than anything, he did not want to give in to whatever the thing that was bothering him, the thyroid issue that was causing him these problems. He wanted to fight, and it's looking like he's coming out the other end of it. Because again, luckily a very, very treatable thing, and the treatment is working. So that's fantastic.
Good. Wonderful, man.
So that was actually a really good doctor experience last week. His doctor was very happy. He was very happy. He was again in control and command of the situation, and it was nice to be able to just be a passenger and do my thing. And very important thing. Just again, this is something for our generation. Because we do have, admittedly, I have a parent that's a little bit older because I have siblings that are 10 and 7 years older than me. So I have siblings that are full Gen Xers.
Right.
And my dad's kind of near the bottom of the baby boom. And so, he's we do have, for our generation, our parents are getting into that older state and getting into a point where many people of our age are going to have similar experiences to mine, that we're going to start having to take care of family members. We've discussed this before with again my dad, but with also my wife's grandmother who lives in the house with us. These things are going to start happening to our generation more and more, that we're going to find ourselves possibly having to have some responsibility for our parents as they age. And if we may be one of many children, we may be the only child. Or we may be the only one that the parent trusts to do these things. It's nice when the siblings all agree. Yeah, you're the one. You take care of that stuff. You're the right one to do it, which is nice. But when those things happen, one of the things that we need to maybe consider with this, when you're being a caregiver to a family member, even to a friend, but to a family member, one of the important things to do is to have a kind of a scaffolding situation when it comes to your care. And what I mean by that is, for instance, I'm sure you've been in many jobs where you started out ground floor, don't know anything, and you've had to be trained to do something, right?
Of course.
And a good trainer will while you're first learning, be right there on your shoulder or on your hip, walking you through every little bit, showing you every little thing. And the purpose then is for them to slowly start backing away, slowly start moving away from you as you're doing the thing, to up until the point where you can do it by yourself.
Right.
A mistake that's often made is to keep that overwatch over the person too much for too long, and not let them as they learn the skills and as they get good at the stuff, not give them the space to do it. Keep that eye on them. And the same token with your family members, when they start having some of these health issues, you have to when you're working on your plan of helping them, figure out how much you need to help, and at points where you might need to scale it up a little bit,
Right.
but also the points where you need to scale it back. When, let's say, they're dealing with something that for a while has them sick or has them needing help, but their progression in what they're doing gets them to a point where they don't need as much help. Many people will make the mistake of continuing the same level of help when the person was initially sick or initially having the worst problems, and not dialing that back. And really, this can apply to so many things, even parenting children. This can apply to the same type of thing, of where you need to know when to dial back, when to sometimes just be the passenger, and there when they need help, but not push your agenda for help, not insert yourself too much into it, and know the balance between that. And sometimes that's a hard thing, especially it can be very hard, especially when you're taking care of that loved one. You want to help as much as possible, and sometimes the better thing is to help as much as necessary. It's not as much as possible, it's as much as necessary.
That can be very hard to do, especially considering the situation when it comes down to the it's dealing with the emotional shock, right?
Yes.
Especially when you're looking at
it.
the potential possibility of, oh my God, something could happen to this person and I love them. You all of a sudden then become that much more restrictive, right?
And you go a little overboard, you go a little further, you think, I've got to be there every second for this. And no, you don't. You need to be there when you're needed to be there, especially if the goal of the person is to have as much agency as possible and as much autonomy as possible. The goal is to help them get there, but the way you do it is by only doing what is necessary for you to do. And as that necessity decreases, you got to be able to slowly back away and let them do it. Let them do the things the way that it's their life still, and they need to be able to have agency for their life.
Right.
And that's that was one of the best parts of the other day going to the doctor with him, was just literally me sitting back. I sat back in the passenger seat, just rode along and talked with him. When we were at the doctor's, I just sat back and listened. Didn't have much I needed to say because he took care of saying all of it. I mean, even to the point of we're walking up to the doctor's office and he's reaching to push the elevator button before me. And every doctor's appointment we've had over the last few months, it's been me getting to the elevator and pushing the button because he's already exhausted by the time we've walked from the vehicle to the elevator, and me checking him in because he's already needing to sit down once we get upstairs. And nope, he was at the forefront of everything because that's, he's an independent guy. He wants to have that independence. And, I'm just along for the ride at that point, knowing when to do that without them having to tell you to do that, knowing when to just take the step back and just flow along with them. You do what you need to when you need to, but when you don't need to, you just flow along with it. And the biggest thing is being there and being available, but making sure that it's when they want you and how they want you to be available, not for your agenda and what you want to do. And it's again something for people to think about if they are going into those roles. Now, admittedly, many of us are not going to have parents that we're trying to help out and take care of that are like even a quarter of the, what's the word I want to use? Easygoing, I guess, person that my dad is, and communicative person that my dad is, to where like there's, he's still has his moments where he's a stubborn old man about a few things,
Right.
but for the most part, he's like literally one of the most easygoing people humanly possible. So he's not really. He'll stand his ground when he needs to, but he's not going to be argumentative and problematic. I don't have to be on him every single day for, are you taking your medications? Nah, he's easygoing guy, very, very willing to work with people. And even after the appointment, he called me and we were talking about he's got to go get blood work done. And he's very gingerly. So the blood work, I'm pretty sure I can do that by myself. I don't think you need to go with me for blood work. Is that okay? I'm like, why are you asking me if it's okay, man? Yeah, I mean, it's not a doctor's appointment, so I don't need to hear what the doctor's saying so that I'm, at least kept in the knowledge of the medical stuff and can be an extra ear. If you feel good about doing blood work, go do blood work, man.
Yeah.
If you need me, if you want me to go there, I will go. If you need me to go there, I will go. But if you don't want or need me to go there, I'm not hurt that you don't want me to go there. That's the other thing. Don't be hurt if they don't want you to be involved in certain things, because they're not doing it to hurt you. They're doing it to have, their life still, not have somebody nursemaiding over them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They are willing to accept, especially if they're willing to accept it when it's necessary. And I'm like, yeah, you don't really need to ask me that, Dad. I mean, I'm good. If you're good, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there for what you need me for. He's like, okay. I just didn't want you to have to, miss work and miss time and do this and do that for blood work. I mean, I just drive down there. They take my blood. I go home. I'm like, yeah, I mean, if you feel good doing that, I'm good. I ain't got no problem. So it can be a very, very delicate balance. But the biggest part is Dad is doing good and we are happy for that.
Good. Man, I'm really glad about that. I really am.
But that kind of leads into my experience earlier today.
Oh, really?
Because Mike.
Say that again?
I said because Mike.
Yes. Mike? Yes. Sorry, it glitched out a little bit.
That's okay. I was tortured today.
How so?
The level of this torture is just. And I mean, I want to add that I've talked on the podcast here before about certain of my personal journeys and specifically certain medical things that have happened. The fact that I am a diabetic, and there's been times before where I've had to be on insulin, and a time where I got off the insulin and was on medication. Just recently, I've had to go back on insulin again.
Mm-hmm.
The medication that I was using to control my diabetes was not working. My blood sugar shot super high, like really scary levels of high. So I am on a insulin shot every day, plus a once a weekly new medication. I'm not going to say the name because we're not getting paid for it, but it's very interesting medication.
I don't
the way
think
it works.
That you need to do that ever.
Huh?
I don't think you need to do that ever.
Ever what?
I don't think that you need to.
Not say a name of something.
No, you don't need to get an endorsement for a. What the hell? No.
Hey, this could be a good endorsement. Hey, okay, hold on. That diabetic guy takes this medication. If it helps him, this could be a good endorsement for him. But anyway.
No. I'm not even in on that shit.
This is a medication that
I'm drawing a line somewhere.
What it does, interestingly, this medication is it actually it stimulates a hormone to be sent out in your body that makes you feel full, which that hormone also stimulates insulin production. The weird side effect to this is that you feel full all the time until suddenly you're like super hungry because your blood sugar's going low. So it's a really weird kind of combination. So I spent the last week and a half having a really weird upset stomach because I feel full all the time and I don't want to eat. A lot of people end up losing a considerable amount of weight on this medication.
I can see that.
Because it does this, it's been a very, very weird week and a half. To a point where when I went to a pizza buffet with my dad for lunch after his appointment, I had, and like at a pizza buffet, they cut the slices fairly small. It's like a third of the size of a normal slice. It's almost like back when you were in school and they do a pizza day at school and you had slices that were like 1 inch thick at the crust.
Yes.
Almost like that. Not quite as small as that, but almost like that.
Uh-huh.
I had 2 small slices of pizza a small bowl of salad, like a cereal bowl size bowl of salad,
Mm-hmm.
and a breadstick it was basically like a pizza that was made into a breadstick, but made as just cheese breadstick, but cut in 1-inch strips. So I had a 1-inch by about 8-inch strip of this breadstick, 2 small slices of pizza, and a salad, and I was stuffed full. Like my stomach hurt. I felt so full. I was like, what the heck is going on with me? Until I found out all of the side effects of this medication. I'm like, oh, this makes sense.
Uh-huh.
This is a weird medication. So I'm daily now jabbing needles into my stomach, and then an extra one every Sunday for this other medication because it's an injectable medication. So I'm used to having needles jabbed into me daily at this point. I'm a week and a half into
Right.
the new this new system. By the way, I'm exaggerating a little. If you inject insulin properly, you really don't feel it. But so I'm exaggerating a little on that.
Oh.
But still, today. I actually signed up for getting this torture. I elected to do this. And I go in, they put me in this room, have me stare at a wall. And then they grab my head, put chemicals in my eyes, start touching my eye with some thing, and then shine bright lights in it. Couldn't see. Of course, that's because I was at the eye doctor.
Oh, of course.
But it was torture. Absolute torture.
Well,
Chemicals in my eyes.
I get that. Boy,
This is
like my story from last night is like way more morbid than that.
Well, of course it was. So I went finally to the eye doctor today. I want to stress though, this is the first time I've been to an eye doctor since 1995.
That's not good. I went
Actually,
to an eye doctor last year.
Well, the reason I haven't gone to an eye doctor, 2 reasons. One, I do have very sensitive eyes. So like the dilating chemicals, most people are like, yeah, no big deal. They actually burn my eyes. Even though they put the numbing solution in first before they do the glaucoma test, they still burn my eyes. My eyes are burning still. I mean, my appointment was at like 1:00 this afternoon. My eyes are still burning from having the stuff put in there. That's pretty standard for me. I can't do eye drops. A strong breeze can make my eyes start watering and burning. Allergies, luckily allergies only affect my nose. They don't often affect my eyes. When they do, I'm down for like 3 days and can't see. It's my eyes are just very, very sensitive. I can't even go outside in sunlight without glasses on. They're so sensitive to light. Literally, have you ever seen me outside without sunglasses?
No, not really. You've always had sunglasses, like forever.
Yes,
man. Like when you're inside, wear your sunglasses. They were honestly on the back of your head, but that's pretty much where it was.
I don't know. They were never on the back of my head. They were on the top of my head, on my hat. I would not wear them on the back of my head. I am not Guy Fieri. We look similar, but I am not him.
I mean, you're pulling it off on top. Okay, if that was the case and you were on top of your head, they were on top of your head while you had the bleach blonde spikes too. So
yes,
and you were doing that in your work shirt. Like I remember that shit, like vivid.
Yes,
man.
I was never without. If I wasn't at work, I was never without a hat. And if I was at work, I at least always had my glasses.
Fair,
always. So yeah, that's one of the reasons that I haven't done it is because I don't like the dilating chemicals. My eyes are just really sensitive. The other reason that I've not gotten an eye exam in such a long time, when I was 15, I had 20/15 vision. Up until the last year or two, I have not had any drop off in my vision. I have been able to read things up close. I've been able to read things far away. I've had no issues at all with my vision up until about the last year or two. Specifically, the last year, which I want to add, today is my 1-year anniversary for my job that I am in. Very excited about that. But it's also my 1-year anniversary of spending 40 hours a week staring at a computer screen.
Oh, nice.
So, over the last year, my vision has gotten progressively worse.
That makes a lot of sense. That's one of the things that happens. But I also, the reason why I obviously say, "Oh, nice," is because I remember the amount of time and work that it took you to even think of getting that job. So I think that's pretty cool. Like, as much as it is wearing on your eyes, and I understand entirely, it is cool to know that you've been doing it for that long, and I think that's fucking great.
It is. It's awesome. I'm very excited for it. I'm happy that I got my 1 year, but I know that I have seen the deterioration, especially mainly of things up close, things on my computer screen. Anything that's up close, so there's not a lot of, if there's not light, like direct light on it, I can't see it at all. Even with direct light, I started having things get really blurry, things doubling up. So issues with being able to see up close. Everything far away, still perfectly fine. So I do my eye exam today.
Cool. Okay.
And the eye doctor is basically confirming everything that I already know, which is that my up close vision is problematic at this point. However, my normal vision, far away vision, everything else, 20/20 still.
Oh, wow.
So what this means is that I only need to have glasses when I am reading or working on my computer screen for anything up close, and I should not wear them regularly because they'll mess up my eyes to be able to look around and do other stuff with them. It's only for things that are up close, because that's the only problem I have. Yeah.
All right.
Which is fantastic. That means that I still get to wear my sunglasses outside. But, and here's the thing, here's why it is really relevant to again, our age group, our generation, the Xennials.
Mm-hmm.
This is a result of aging. This is a result of the lens in your eye just getting old and having trouble with focusing on close-up things.
Yes.
There are some people that have genetic reasons why they have to get glasses. I'm actually the only member of my family that does not have all the genetic reasons to have to get glasses. Both of my sisters need glasses. My father has glasses. My mother had them. Both of my brothers have them. How long have you had your glasses for, sir?
I've had mine for, oh man. I want to say I've had them from now for about 6 or 7 years. I actually discovered that, and my vision has moved. My vision has deteriorated an extremely minuscule amount over that amount of time.
Good.
I don't know if I'm going to...
Because you wear your glasses regularly.
Well, yes, but also because I have the reason why I got the glasses is, and I didn't know this for the longest time, because my vision still scans out at 20/20. That's the funny part. But I was born with a lazy eye, and I have a mild astigmatism in both eyes. And that's it.
Okay, so yours is the astigmatism.
Mine's the astigmatism, but it's so tiny. It's so tiny. I can tell, like if I close one eye, I can tell there is a slight focal difference between the two. But if I sit for a minute and I try to focus with that eye, I can do it. But I have to take a second. So when I got my glasses, it's very, very mild, extremely mild. But there's not a full like. It's like minuscule measurements. I don't know what the hell that is, how to describe it, but I can, and oftentimes do. I can leave the house. I don't use glasses if I know that I'm going to go somewhere where I'm going to forget them or damage them, because I can still use my eyes without having to use glasses. But believe me, it helps. It helps with eye strain, especially in the morning. For me to have my glasses with me, but yeah, it's really weird, but I'm good. I'm on. It's so weird to say, like, clinically, technically, I'm 20/20, but I know I'm not, because I can't see evenly between both eyes. It's so weird.
And that's part of the weird thing about my results is, again, I knew that, like, seeing anything from a distance, I'm perfectly fine with that. It's, again, when things get up close that it's problematic. And I'd always said, for the people that were very much like you, that's a long time to not have gone to the eye doctor.
Yeah.
I always said, when I start having problems seeing things, I will be honest about it. I don't have a problem with the idea of wearing glasses. Again, I wear sunglasses all the time. So wearing glasses wouldn't have bothered me. When I was 15, I was actually really upset that I had 2015 vision.
Mhm.
My sisters already had vision problems, so they were getting glasses. My parents already had glasses, so literally I was going to be the only one without glasses. And at 15, I was like, I want glasses though. I'd like to have them. And they're like, well, you don't need them. And they said we could sell you like frames with just glass in it. And it's like, no, I'm not going to wear frames with just glass in it. Because I mean, I may look like a hipster, but I am not a hipster.
I actually had a roommate that had perfect 20/20 vision that picked up a pair of glasses. He actually had frames made for him with glasses that didn't change his vision at all, literally for the look of having a pair of glasses on his face.
Yeah, no, and I mean, most of my friends had glasses, so it was, it was never a thing to not want to wear glasses. It was just my vision's fine. I don't need them. Now I do, and for work only, or well, for work, for looking at my phone, for reading if I want to read. But that's you gotta take care of those things when they need to be taken care of. And in my situation, it's basically age, and we're all going to hit that age where all these various things you get between 35, 40. Once you get past 40, all these different things just start happening to your body. Your body starts saying, okay, all those things you used to do, you can't do those anymore. We're gonna show you the punishment for some of the things that you did, unless you were good and didn't do any of those things. I did. I ate all dozen donuts every time the dozen was brought into the house. I ate them all. There was no leftovers. And that's what this is, body built by donuts. I mean,
body built by donuts,
and
fair,
fries and other things like that. But yeah, body built by donuts for sure. But yeah, that's my torture story. I got tortured today. The upside is I'm getting glasses to take care of the daily torture of my head pounding and my eyes unable to focus while I'm trying to read tiny numbers on my computer screens.
Yeah, that can be a problem.
I think the most telling moment was when I was making the appointment for the eye doctor and they asked for my insurance ID number on my insurance card.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't read my insurance ID number. And I'm like, I think it's this. Hold on. I ended up having to use my phone, turn the camera on the phone, and then zoom in to be able to read my insurance ID number. And and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a 5, not a 3. All right. And the medical assistant that was on the phone with me making the appointment was kind of chuckling. I'm like, this is why I need to see the eye doctor, is because I can't reach you my insurance ID number. She's like, yeah, that makes sense. We got your appointment right here. But yeah, that was most of my week. I want to add one more thing from the time off that we had. Into one of my favorite things in the world, because I just mentioned it and it reminded me. I had a chance to try another hamburger place.
Oh, really? Okay.
During our off time.
Uh-huh.
Yes, another hamburger place, another considered an institution hamburger place, like a major good hamburger place. People that like swear by this as much as those people who have no taste buds swear by like In-N-Out Burger. Or the smart people like Ed Sheeran, for example, that really, really loves Five Guys.
Speaking of that guy, I could talk about what that poor bastard's been going through over the last like 2-3 weeks.
What I will say is it shows his musicianship ability and his understanding of musical theory. But anyway,
so you have been following it?
I haven't been following it. I've seen a few articles about it. But we'll get to that. We can get to that.
We can get that in a moment. Let's transition to that from what you're saying here. Please continue.
I tried Smash Burger.
Wait a minute. Smash Burger's been around for like 10 years. You just tried it?
How long had Five Guys been around when I just finally tried it?
I still haven't tried Five Guys.
Remember, I don't necessarily live in the big city area. So
that's fair.
Where's the area?
Where's the Smash Burger that you went to?
The Smash Burger that I went to is close to the Arden Fair Mall.
Oh, okay, you went to that one. Okay, I gotcha. Cool.
Yes.
I used to work down near Madison and Sunrise. There's a Smash Burger down that way I used to go to all the time. Back when I worked an old music store that
Yes,
is no longer there.
that. I remember that place.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the last physical like brick and mortar job that you had, this is just down the road from that too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense. It's just up the way. I know. I think I know the one you're talking about.
Well, it's over by the there's a theater that's there. It's kind of, you know, that intersection is weird by Arden Fair Mall.
Yeah,
That
is
weird-ass
it the
intersection
area
where
just south of Cal Expo where that movie theater area is down there?
Yes, it's right in there.
Like you
It's
get off the
Smash
highway,
Burger.
you go down, and Cal Expo's on your right, and then you just keep going, and it's okay. I know what you're talking about. That's like this weird shady corner of the area. It's like kind of out of it. Okay, it's not really shady. It's just really out of the way. But there still is a lot of stuff out there. It's like they build stuff out there, like people go out there, but I never see people go out there. It's weird.
Well, I mean, I have a different reason for going out there, but I'll explain that. I'll explain that off the podcast.
Okay.
But
okay.
No. So that's where it was. So I had Smash Burger.
Mm-hmm.
I only got the burger. I didn't try the fries. I didn't try anything else. I just was trying the burger. I did get. I understood that the Smash Burger patties were fairly thin patties.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up getting 2 patties. And first thing I told them was, don't put any American cheese on that. I just want the 2 patties and the, give it to me with all the vegetables, all the fixings on it, as it's supposed to come.
Right.
The response was amazing. Well, we don't just have American cheese. We have other cheese options. Oh, you do? Because I was originally going to get their macaroni and cheese burger, but apparently that has American cheese right in it, and they can't do it without American cheese. So I did not get that option.
Mm.
But they had other options for cheese. So I chose Swiss, which is one of my favorite cheese options for burgers.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'll say about the burger. About halfway through, I had to remove the all the vegetation because just the nature of their I don't even know if it was actually lettuce or not, but whatever their green leafy vegetable was, that the thickness of the tomatoes, the thickness of their onion, overpowering any burger flavor. All I could taste was onion, and it wasn't. I don't know if it was lettuce or not. It just it didn't taste like normal lettuce, which normally just tastes like green water. But still,
if I remember, Smash doesn't have they don't do shredded lettuce, or do they? Habit does shredded, but I thought Smash did something different.
It's something I don't even know for sure if it's lettuce or it's a green leafy vegetable.
Some kind of green leaf, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
But the vegetables were very off-putting about halfway through the hamburger, and I couldn't taste the burger itself. I couldn't taste the patty. So removed those, finished the burger. Here's what I'm going to say about it. It's not as good in my opinion as Five Guys. Mm-hmm. However, I would put it above the Habit.
Okay.
And I definitely want to go back there and try more. But
there's different varieties that they do out there.
And it was a very good hamburger. Very happy with the burger. I would definitely eat there again. I actually am interested in taking the wife there because she typically prefers a thinner hamburger patty as opposed to the thicker ones. Mm-hmm. So I think that a single patty burger for her would probably be good. She might even be okay with the dual patty with some different if she can put multiple cheeses on that thing, she'll go nuts for that. So it's definitely a spot I want to take her to for a hamburger situation. She does like Five Guys, but I personally think she'll like Smash Burger over Five Guys just because of the things that she looks for in a hamburger in comparison to what I look for in a hamburger. And that's, each to their own opinion on that. But just wanted to say I did get another burger place in. Now there's I think there's only 1 or 2 I still need to try that are in this area. So very excited for that. Very excited for that. But back to we can transition over into and we've talked about things like this before. We've talked about musicians and their various issues with ownership of their product and now we have Ed Sheeran, who's being, if I'm correct, he's being sued by the estate of who now?
Well, no, it's not the estate. Actually, that's the
Okay.
funny part. Is it is not. So here's the general breakdown here. Ed Sheeran is being sued by the estate of well, no, you're right. It's not the estate of Marvin Gaye, but it is for a Marvin Gaye classic. It's on behalf of a Marvin Gaye classic song. It's one of the other songwriters. His name was Ed Townsend. And it is his daughter, Catherine Townsend Griffin, who is suing Ed Sheeran. The reason why is because Sheeran is being sued for essentially basically plagiarizing the song "Let's Get It On" from Marvin Gaye for his hit that came out in 2014 called "Thinking Out Loud." Now, if anybody were to listen to these two songs on their face, you hear the chord progression, you hear the drum beat, they're played in the same tempo. There's a slight key change difference. I think one is in D and the other one is in E flat or something like that. And basically, they sound on their face right out the gate extremely similar. Very similar. But unfortunately, because of that on its face similarity, they think Ed Townsend's daughter, Catherine, is not basically is stating that he plagiarized the song just because it sounds similar and has a similar tempo and similar drum beat and similar chord progression. This is really complicated, and it's not that easy to just say, hey, one song sounds kind of like this other one, so because of that, it's plagiarism, and therefore he owes the estates of Marvin Gaye and Ed Townsend like a bunch of cash, basically like all of the money. Now, there are other artists that have been sued for doing this. Plagiarism is a thing that happens. Plagiarism, sampling is another thing. I'm not going to get too into the weeds on this, but essentially, here's the deal. He uses what is called a chord progression that is called a 1-3-4-5 chord progression. And it is the same progression and it's played at the same beat as the song "Let's Get It On." However, what is being completely ignored is that he is using different lyrics. He is using an entirely different vocal melody, and he's actually changing one of the major chords in the song, one of the prominent chords in that song that determines the key, and changing it to a major chord. To anybody that's not big into music, that can change the mood of an entire riff or an entire song from being.
Well, yeah. For quick understanding of people who don't know much about music,
Yeah.
Major chords typically sound what we feel sounds happy. Minor chords sound sad.
Yeah, give or take, right?
That's the best way to, and
they
you
can. Yeah, in this case, they can add minor chords in certain instances, like in "Let's Get It On," which uses a minor chord as one of its most prominent chords, turns it into a primal feeling. And that's what "Let's Get It On" is about. "Let's Get It On" is about baby making. It is a sex song. And that's the truth. That's the root of the song. It's the reason why it's there. This guy ain't in love. He's trying to fuck. And that's the point. So that's the whole feel of that song. Now, Ed Sheeran's song, "Thinking Out Loud," is a love song. And it is a tried and true, straight up love song. It also is that riff that they're referencing. If you were to mash them up against each other, yeah, they sound really similar. But Ed then transitions into other chords, especially for the pre-chorus and the chorus, that then turn the song into an entirely different translation.
Well, and you can't copyright a chord progression. If so,
yes, you're absolutely right.
Pachelbel would be making a crap ton of money. Call it Vitamin
if it
C,
wasn't,
call it
yeah.
Blues Traveler.
I mean, Aerosmith, Green Day.
Let's call a bunch of people using Canon in D.
So, most recently, there's been a couple of things that have broken out. The first one was that the big one today was that Sheeran basically is because of what's going on here, and this is a big deal considering other songs that have been taken to court recently, and certain cases that have been won and lost. Dua Lipa won a court case using a beat called the Charleston Shuffle. I think the name of the song is Starlight, is what you're talking about. Is what they're talking about with that song. A white, basically an all-white funk band tried to sue her because they came out with a song in like '96 that had the same type of vocal hook and all this kind of shit. No, it was 2001 for that song, but then it turned out that you could hear it in a beat and a chord progression that happened in the 70s, and it was the vocal melody was taken as far back as an Outkast song in the 90s, and so they lost the case entirely.
I just want to say that I had to remember that Dua Lipa was actually a real person, so I really know nothing about that one.
Yeah. Dua Lipa is a real person. She is a pop star, and it's a great song. I've heard it referenced, and it's really funny because the most prominent one that I heard was there was a Gwen Stefani song that sounded like the Dua Lipa song, and I was like, wait a minute, I know that song. Like I know it sounds like this or that or the other thing, but that song was never picked up or mentioned in the middle of this. But it's because it's common. And pop music is common. There is a total of 12 notes in the Western scale that makes up the brunt of 99.9% of music all across the globe. When it comes to, and I say popular music, I say that I'm saying that somewhat facetiously because there's obviously many different types of music scales, styles, and I am not trying to discount any of those. Western music, a lot of the time, though, is the most popular basis for pop music. So that's what it's based on.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, no, and I mean,
Greek
there's
and Baroque and that kind of shit. Like, that's what it's been based on,
Yeah.
the 12 note scale. And since there's only 12 notes, there's only a certain combination of chords you can use that people have used all over the place. As a matter of fact, what's really funny about this song is that yesterday in court, Sheeran had to go up on the stand with his guitar and play it. Now, one of the things that I am kind of bouncing back and forth, I apologize, but one of the things that they referenced, that the lawyer representing the plaintiff in the case referenced, was that about 3 or 4 years ago, I think, he actually did a mashup live of this song, Thinking Out Loud, and then he broke and mashed it up into a bridge section that was Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On in front of a crowd, in a live crowd. And this lawyer was considering it to be interpreted as a confession that he plagiarized another song because he played a song that had a similar chord progression in it that happened to fit tonally with what he was doing because he was playing around live, and he made it like a live staple. When he played that song, the estate of Marvin Gaye was paid for it, and anybody and Ed Townsend and everybody else that was involved in that, because BMI ASCAP and all that kind of music licensing shit that happens with live performances. People get paid for those live performances of songs that aren't theirs. People get paid when other artists play songs that are theirs. That's how it's supposed to work, right? Unless, unless it's illegally done and blah, blah, blah. I won't get into that. But essentially, because that was a live performance that was referenced, they considered that a confession that he plagiarized the song because it sounded so similar, and he recognized that. That's not necessarily true, because this chord progression has been used in a ton of different songs. And when he went on the stand, I think yesterday, he confessed that the song was called, while they were in the studio writing it and putting it together, it was called the Van Morrison song, because he has the ability to sing very similarly to Van Morrison if he wants to. And the song had a chord progression similar to a Van Morrison song that they were referencing when he was writing it. However, he then also did a full performance on the stand where he mashed it up with 4 other hits that came out before Marvin Gaye. Before the Marvin Gaye hit, just to show, I know this is similar. Here's what it is. The problem with this whole case, and the reason why it is such a huge deal, it's taking place in New York. This civil trial is a jury trial. And there is nobody that is an expert in music on that jury. That's the thing about a jury trial. It's a trial of peers. It's common people that they're not experts in the field, but they need to make the judgment on this. And sometimes that can prove to be extremely disastrous in cases like this. Now in Britain, you can't do this shit. If you were trying to pull this off in Britain, you couldn't pull it off because there's standards and the way that you prove a case in court out there is very different from out here. However, out here, that can prove to be disastrous. One of the most prominent ones that everybody thought was absolute horseshit was the song Blurred Lines by Alan Thicke. Thicke? Robin Thicke. Alan Thicke. Alan Thicke is the guy on Step by Step. Sorry. Robin Thicke, his kid, right? That's who it is, his son?
Yeah, Alan Thicke is the dad. Robin is the son.
Yeah, okay. So Robin Thicke and Pharrell wrote a song called Blurred Lines, and they specifically were like, hey, let's have it... I can't remember what the name of the song was, but they're like, hey, let's write something that's kind of in the vein of this. It has this certain type of drum beat to it, and all that kind of stuff. And basically, it was proven in court that the song sounded so similar that the estate of Marvin Gaye was awarded like a fuck ton of money. And in the middle of the process, it absolutely ruined a lot of what was going on. Now, there were certain things that needed to be true. One of the things is that Robin Thicke didn't write a single damn note of that entire song, and Pharrell wrote the entire thing, but co-writing royalties were written were under both of them until the court case.
Also, Robin Thicke is a douchebag.
He is a douchebag, but that's beside the point.
Also, the song is a little bit rapey douchey.
Yes, but that's beside the point.
Actually, a lot of bit rapey douchey, let's be honest.
Bro, David Bowie was fucking 14-year-olds and nobody called him out on it.
Well, I mean...
There's a lot of that shit that has happened. I'm not saying it's okay. It's not okay, but that's beside the point.
I wonder which song was written about his encounter with when he was found in bed with Mick Jagger. Anyway,
was there a song about that one? Well, okay, yeah, I don't think that's particularly controversial. He was David Bowie.
Yeah, a little more controversial.
Honestly, the other one that I'm talking, the other one was like way bigger, and I can't believe that was overlooked. Like that's some shit to me, and it sucks. But yeah, that's like some stuff you gotta like. Can you like? Yeah, that's
at least we don't know if any of these people peed on 14-year-olds. So,
that's true. There's a lot of other. Goddamn, people have been. They've gotten away with so much bullshit that you can't get through. You can't get through it without mentioning it. You really can't. It sucks. Anyway, that being said, that part of it. You know, Robin Thicke being a douchebag and all that kind of stuff is completely irrelevant. As far as this, as far as the legal aspects of the song itself, that ruling ruined a ton because it opened the floodgates for people to start doing this. These types of lawsuits were one artist that wrote something similar earlier to what a hit was, then suing a younger artist just because a song sounds similar didn't start until the Blurred Lines bullshit. There were a ton of things, actually, and here's the thing. People were trying to do that. There was a whole court case that happened in the 80s when John Fogerty was sued by, was it Sony?
Just about to bring this up. I was just about to bring this up.
He was sued like
he was sued by CCR, by Creedence
Well, he wasn't sued by
Revival.
CCR. He was sued by the label that owned CCR's music. CCR didn't give a fuck. They were like, well, it's John. He wrote all our shit. But fucking the record label turns around and goes, fucking Centerfield and the old man down the road sounds too much like CCR. And he's like, I'm the fucking dude who wrote all that shit. It's my music. It doesn't matter.
He's all palpitating that shit. I am CCR.
He was fucking CCR. And no, and to be fair, now it's fucking great because it was like just recently, like late last year, John Fogerty actually bought the rights to all of CCR's music. So when you hear CCR on the radio now, Fogerty's making his money.
Well, and
it's like the Paul McCartney thing with Michael Jackson shit with the Thriller album. It's great.
this is actually, I was going to bring it up because this is a story that my dad is a big CCR fan, and that's a story that he always found amusing, was that he was being sued over that, and he, again, just like Ed Sheeran, went and showed them his songwriting process, how he writes songs. And it's like, this is how I write my music. That's how I wrote the music for that band, and now I'm writing my own music. It's still me, so it's going to sound the same.
Yeah, like it's really this is where, and people have tried to do, like, this is, I'm sorry, man, this is America, the land of superfluous lawsuits. There is dumb shit that happens all the freaking time out here, and it is absolutely ridiculous. The problem, though, is when people win at cases like this. And so,
yeah, because then it sets precedents.
It does. It sends precedents. And also, like, there is also this thing that I tend to find very ominous, especially recently. If you've been seeing, there are a lot of, now don't get me wrong, like a lot of the boomer age guys, like, you know, we're talking 60s, 70s artists, that kind of stuff, that have their rights to their music. They're selling the rights to their music. Like, you know, Crosby, Stills and Nash sold all their shit. I think Aerosmith sold all their shit. Kiss is selling the rights to their stuff and doing a farewell tour. I think Aerosmith just launched a farewell tour or announced a farewell tour. Motley Crue, I think, sold the rights to their stuff. Like, there are a lot of artists that are backing out of the game. And the reason why is because the way that streaming revenue is going now is making so much less money for artists than the terrestrial record market. And terrestrial record collecting now is such a niche thing. Even though records have outsold CDs and are like the top selling physical medium nowadays, it's still nowhere near the amount of listening that's done to streaming that offsets that potential profit. So now you're seeing artists from the 80s, 70s, 60s, and earlier literally selling the rights to their music because there's no money being made on them anymore. And they're selling them to people that own and run streaming services or labels and record companies that will then just turn around and do nothing but make bank on this, even though it's like a drop in a bucket for these guys that are making, you know, millions of dollars on their music. They have so much money, they don't know what to do with. It doesn't matter having that music now. These new record companies, yeah, they could make, you know, good few $100,000 or a good couple of million a year, 30, 40 million a year on streaming revenue or whatever, because they own that music, and that's fine. If you own enough, you know, estates of so on and so forth for that, they're going to make that money because the buck is being passed to somebody else. But one of the things that really blew my fucking mind was when I saw that Justin Timberlake and Justin Bieber sold the rights to their music. And that was done in the last 2 years. Think about that for a minute. Regardless of whether or not you think they're douchebags, these guys broke after 2000 on their own and had careers only in the last 15, 20 years. They're selling their shit because there's no money in it anymore.
Yeah.
That is a big fucking deal. These artists now, like, yeah, Katy Perry's not selling. Give her 5 years, she might. Taylor Swift, yeah, she's making her money because she owns her shit. Give her 5, 10, 15 years. She's going to do it too. But the problem is that there is a huge amount of money getting lost in music. And now on top of that, you got people selling, or you got people suing dudes like Ed Sheeran for this type of quote unquote plagiarism when it's not. It's just common shit being used over and over. As a matter of fact, I think I mentioned this earlier, but that really is a big deal for Sheeran to turn around and go, dude, if I get sued for this shit, I'm done. I'm not making any more music. Because now it takes the fun out of it. Now he's already not making the type of money that he would have made had it been 15, 20 years ago. Now he's barely doing that. And then on top of that, he's going to get sued if he comes out with a single that sounds like something. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. It's actually, I think that maybe if, for me anyway, I can say, and now I'm not an accomplished musician. I'm just a for fun musician, but there are often times when I'm, you know, trying to mess around with an idea and come up with something that I'll play what I think is, you know, really cool chord progression or really cool sounding riff or anything like that, and realize that it sounds almost exactly like something else, and just abandon the idea because I don't want to make a song that sounds exactly like another song. And so, yeah, it does bring into question where creativity is going to come from, and what we're going to have with that moving on. I will say there is a perverse part of me that wishes we could have these same kind of lawsuits when it comes to movies, and maybe Kevin Costner and the guy who directed or the people who wrote and directed the movie Fern Gully, the animated movie Fern Gully, can
go after
just sue the
Avatar?
pants off of, huh?
Could go after Avatar?
Yeah, sue the pants off of James Cameron and stop him from making these overbloated, stupid ass blue people.
Wasn't
movies.
Wasn't it one of your kids that called it Blue Fern Gully or something like that?
Yes, Fern Gully with the blue people. Just stop James Cameron from making this overblown bullshit. Stop Tom Cruise from putting the Death Star trench run in Top Gun 2. I mean,
oh my God!
people.
Speaking of the Death Star trench run, oh God, no, I don't want to give it away. Never mind. I don't want to necessarily spoil it because I know it's out. It's recent streaming, so I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. I'll say it to you after the podcast because I don't want to spoil it for people.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. I'll tell you about it after the podcast. After we're done recording.
That does remind me. I went and saw Return of the Jedi in the theater on last week too.
Ooh, how was that?
Week. It was it's been a long time since I've seen
Jedi,
the special edition.
Yeah.
Of Return of the Jedi. It was the first movie I ever saw in the movie theater. As a kid, at least that's what I've been told. I don't remember it because I was like 2.5. But apparently it's the first movie I ever saw in a movie theater, which makes sense for my love of Star Wars. But when the special editions were released in 96, I didn't get a chance to go see this one. 96, 97, whenever they came out with the special editions of them. I saw New Hope and I saw Empire, but I didn't get to see Return. So this is the first time I was seeing the special edition version on the big screen, and I got to take my oldest with me, who I share all the Star Wars stuff with.
Hell yeah!
And there was a perverse part of me because I'd forgotten at what point you see extra scenes and added content for the special edition version of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it happened earlier in the movie than it did. There's a scene outside of Jabba's palace where there's some kind of frog thing that eats another thing.
Oh yeah,
in the desert. And the original version had those, but they definitely look like puppets. They were upgraded in the special edition version,
quote unquote.
And well, yeah, they were CGI'd in the special.
I was going to say that. Yeah, I would leave it to be puppets, man.
But I thought that happened during the it had been such a long time. I thought my memory of that was that it happened during the approach of 3PO and R2 to Jabba's palace. So when I didn't see that happen, I had a flash moment of like, wait a minute. Everything looks like the original. I don't see. Oh my God, did they find for the 40th anniversary showing of it? They're never supposed to show the original versions of the movies again. Is this a surprise that nobody knows about? Because I was going on one of the first nights, and so I hadn't heard any internet scuttlebutt on that. I was like, holy crap, is it? No, it wasn't, because they they go into they're in the throne room, and Cy Snoodles is singing, but also that weird, I don't know even know what the hell that thing
guy.
is. I forget his name.
Yeah.
Kunite. No.
I just remember.
Kunite!
I just remember the close up where he like screams a note, and you see the string of spit like swinging around in his mouth. It's fucking disgusting. I was like, cool. How much did that cost you, George? I hate it.
Yeah. So it was still fun to watch. The again, not having experienced that not remembering the experience of the Endor battle in the theater, and just the hugeness of that battle on a big screen with so many ships. And it only took them 6 years of working to create. I mean, before they had a couple of TIE fighters and a couple of X-Wing fighters, and that's it. You get 3 TIE fighters in a shot together. You know what I mean? That's all you got out of Star Wars, and out of what was then just Star Wars, but A New Hope. And then you get to Return of the Jedi 6 years later, and there's dozens and dozens of ships. It's like, holy crap. When that first onslaught of the especially I've always loved the TIE interceptors. Those are the TIE
Mhm.
fighters with the wings that point forward.
Yeah.
Always love TIE interceptors. Those things are just awesome. And this flurry of TIE interceptors coming at the Rebel fleet, and just to see that on just a TV screen is awesome. But to see it on the big screen with the surround sound and your seats rumbling and shit,
Oh, hell
it's
yeah.
just like, oh god, that's just wow.
It kind of shows you like that's the way it was meant to be seen every time. Every time.
But anyway, get like I said,
Dude,
get these.
we gotta. There's a place. I gotta tell you about this. While we're talking, there's a place I gotta take you to that's in the area. They actually sell like, oh my god, this place is so up your alley. They sell like collectible stuff. So it's a big old. It's not just a record store. It's a collectible store. So records, comic books, but it's like an estate type thing where I think I messaged you about this like last year. Was it last year? It looks like
is it the place that's reminiscent of like the 50s?
Yes, it looks like Quentin Tarantino's estate sale. Like that's what it looks like. Everything that he could ever like back reference in any movie he did in the 90s, because it was all about retro shit back then. Like you can go and find stuff out there, and it's just a great place to go hang out for a few hours and find crazy shit. And I mean, like, there's chairs, couches, full-fledged console record players, floor standing, like the shit you'd see in a living room in 1978, like that kind of stuff. It's badass. But in the center of it is a movie theater that you can rent. You can play video games in there. You can rent it during the off hours. So when the store is closed, you show up and you rent it for a flat fee, and you take your friends in and you watch movies in a movie theater. Anything you want.
That's tempting.
I know, right? It's the best, dude. Like, I wanted to go see, like, if I ever wanted to see anything Star Wars, I'd go there. I'd go see it there. Like, hands down.
But
yeah.
Which one? I now have full memory of seeing every single Star Wars movie in the theater, and that's what's kind of the goal of going to see that, was to have a full-fledged memory of seeing every Star Wars movie in the theater. And I'm not sure which one. If I had to just pick one, I'm not sure which one I would pick.
Well, I mean, you could branch it out over multiple visits.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. That's one of those interesting questions I really have to think about.
You know what you
now.
do? You do the freaking, I can't remember. There was actually an order that we had established in a previous podcast. And if there is anything I would do in the theater, I would watch it in that order.
I mean, I know the order.
Yes.
It's you watch A New Hope first.
Uh-huh.
Then you watch Rogue One.
Uh-huh.
You don't worry about the Solo story because it's not necessary for you to understand that, for you to watch that. You watch Rogue One, then you watch Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Then you watch, even though Rogue One technically takes place like in the week before A New Hope.
Yeah, but you get the gravitas of it. Yeah, you get the gravitas of it.
You need to watch Rogue One after.
Uh-huh.
And then, so Empire Strikes Back, and then episodes 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Because that's a flashback from when Vader sees Luke escape in the Millennium Falcon. It's then a flashback of Vader, what brought him to being Vader.
Yeah.
He's just seen his son. He's just tried to get his son to come with him, and his son has just left. And now he's reflecting back on his life. And he just took his son's hand too, so he's reflecting back on his life and seeing what's happened in his life. And then Return of the Jedi, and then the new trilogy in order.
Sounds good to me.
That's how you should watch it.
Yeah, you gotta do it theater wise, man. The full surround sound, seat rumbling shit. I'd be down. I would totally be down.
We're gonna have to find out about that. That could be a fun. Set of adventures. I'm trying to think of if there's any other movie that would be enough to go to the theater and see and have a full theater experience to see the movie. Just one single movie, just to give it. Wouldn't want to start the Star Wars thing and then not be able to finish it. But I want to do at least one movie there to see what the situation was like there, see what the setup was like. Oh, now that I'm thinking about it, I know a 3-movie set that would be fun to go see there.
See, that's the thing, is they're all movie sets, like not
Well,
just a
this
single
one would be a
film.
little easier to do. You don't have to do 3 movies to watch through this one, but it might be worth it. They're long ass movies, but it might be worth it. You know what I'm thinking, right?
No.
Oh,
Oh,
gosh.
I know what you're thinking.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Lord of the Rings trilogy?
Fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude, that would be dope. Yeah, I'd be down on that. Director's cuts, absolutely, or whatever the fullest, the biggest, longest editions are.
Oh yeah, no, I don't.
You don't chintz that shit, man. You make it like a 2-day span.
I don't watch the theatrical cut of those movies. I won't watch it if it's on. Like sometimes when movies are on TV,
Mhm.
you know, like just a TV channel, and I see it there, and it's a movie I've seen. I'll flip to that movie and watch that movie. The ones I don't do that with are the Lord of the Rings because it's always the theatrical cut. And fuck that, I will never watch the theatrical cuts again. I've seen them once. I will never watch the theatrical cuts of Lord of the Rings again. That was Peter Jackson being hobbled by people not understanding what an epic is, and if you need to sit for 4 hours to watch an epic, you sit for frickin' 4 hours and watch an epic. If not, stay away from the theater.
Did they set up? They didn't set up intermissions on those either. You sat in those fucking seats. See, here's the thing. This is where you go to like Studio Movie Grill and watch some shit like that. You watch a marathon at Studio Movie Grill. What are you doing? You're getting somebody serving you drinks and giving you and serving you burgers and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like that's a theater experience.
I've heard about that place.
That is a theater experience. I've been there once. I want to go there every time.
Yeah, I've heard of that place.
Yeah, it is amazing. There is a thing that we're supposed to be seeing later this year. And we got to see whether or not it's going to be there because that's the place to go. You think those seats are nice over at the theater we went to for the last thing that we saw? Nah, dude. This will knock you back, man. And it's good. It's a good thing. Damn good thing. They got a full bar there too.
No, I don't drink with my movies. I don't drink anymore at all.
Oh.
Diabetes.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's life. You learn to live with it. Anyway. Did we say everything we needed to about the Ed Sheeran thing since we went off on a movie tangent? By the way, I just want to add the Avatar movies. They're stupid. I hate them.
I think so, personally. I think it's like I said, I kind of left it to what it is. I think it's a terrible thing. And I think it compounds on top of the other stuff. Like, I wouldn't say I've completely given up on releasing music, but I don't do it with the concern of professional level stuff. Like, you know what I mean? I know I'm not going to break into like the charts or anything like that as a musician. I'm too busy worrying about having fun releasing music, but to be completely honest, it kind of sucks because I don't think it's not impossible for a professional musician to exist. There are plenty of them now, and there are more that will happen. There are more that will come far past us for eons and eons. The music industry, I think, is going to continue in some form or another. But as far as musicians that are active at this time period, they're active in such a strange transitional period. But there's also a lot of other stuff that's happening that is changing the way that media operates. The big thing that's happening right now, another thing that's a huge deal, is the Writers Guild is striking. I don't know if you heard about this. It went into effect this morning at about 4 a.m. The Writers Guild is now striking. Late night television is off the air pretty much because you need writers and they write the episodes that day. As a matter of fact, I found out that Stephen Colbert himself is a member of the Writers Guild. So because of that, he cannot go on air. Which I think is, I mean, like, he can't even hire extra writers. All his writers are Writers Guild, including himself. So the show cannot operate. And that's a lot of them. But the reason why they are striking is because of the lopsided profit margins that are happening due to unregulated streaming revenue. Oh, look, that again. Which is another, it's the same fucking problem that it is in music right now. The reason why guys like Peter Frampton had to go to fucking Congress to tell them that he made, I think he made like what, $2,000 on Baby I Love Your Way in like 2017, and they're like, wait, you made how much? That's why, because streaming revenue and the profit margins that come from streaming revenue serve the companies that create the streaming revenue and not the artists at all. Yet it has become the main music consumption format, and the Writers Guild is suing or is striking in response to streaming revenue not generating the proper sustainable wages that terrestrial television was making. That's the big thing right now. The issue would be that writers would be paid for if a television show was aired in the United States and Britain and translated in multiple countries and all that stuff, and they would be paid every time that television program aired, an episode that they were involved with would air. Well, now you throw it on a streaming platform, it goes worldwide, and they're only paid for general streaming revenues, which is fractions of cents upon the dollar for what is made against ad revenue in an unregulated market. And there is no legislation that has regulated streaming in order to create a sustainable profit. It's the same thing that's happening with music. And so we're going to be seeing a lot of that shit right now. But yeah, sorry, I could continue forever and ever on this, but that's kind of like the state of affairs as far as where this is going right now, which, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's good for podcasts.
Maybe. I don't know about ours.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We can't put out a podcast concurrently to save our asses this year.
And even if our podcast did well and made money, it wouldn't really be any different than what it is for us right now. We already don't make money, and so
Yeah, exactly. Whatever, man. Like, I honestly, that's the thing. That's the thing I like about this. Like, when we get the opportunity to do this, I have a good time. I have a good time yakking, and that's literally all it is. Just two dudes yakking about shit that happened in the last week.
Basically.
Basically. But also tying it to, hopefully, every once in a while, when we get to it, tying it to things that we used to experience, things that we remember.
And things that we currently, how those connect to the things that we currently experience and the changes that are happening in life due to age and freaky streaming services wanting to make money. And
I'll end it. Oh, dude, I'll end it on a Xennial thing. Check this out. Yeah, I'll end it on a Xennial thing. So somebody sent me a meme the other night, and it was a picture of a Nokia phone, right, with the dots, and then it had this. It had a set of random numbers that were across the top of the thing, and it showed the phone panel, right, and it put 999, 555, that kind of shit, right, and it reads it across the top. And it read out, "You are old," on the top of the phone, or on the top of in numbers. And I realized, and so I then responded with numbers, and I typed "fuck you" back in the text message back to them. But just in numbers. Numbers typed, by the way, on my smartphone, on the numbers above the letters. I could have typed the letters. I didn't. I chose the numbers. I did it on purpose. And then I realized, you know those boomers that put out memes about how they can confuse millennials because they know cursive?
Yes.
That's Xennial cursive. Xennial cursive is Nokia number fucking code. It's like our own personal Morse code that we never harnessed.
Okay, yeah, I get that. I mean, it would be a bigger flex for like the pre-boomers to do the whole Morse code thing, because Morse code would make sense.
Well, Morse code would make sense, but it's like our own version of Morse code is just punching in numbers that spell out a sentence.
I get you. It's like leet speak, being its own thing. And I only know that from our former website designer Rob, but because I am technologically uninclined. But yeah,
I like how you're the one that brings up leet between the two of us. I never learned leet. I knew plenty of people that saw it, and I thought it was the most ridiculous shit.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I remember doing cursive in elementary school. And I remember hating it and think it was the stupidest thing. Why do we need to have this cursive thing?
Yeah.
What is the whole point of writing this way? It actually makes it more difficult to decipher the writing. Why aren't we printing everything in just
Right.
Standard printing that we do?
What I find really funny is that's the same argument you had to learn cursive. Is the same. It's the same philosophy as you're never going to have a calculator in your pocket.
Yeah.
So you have to learn how to count change. And I'm like, bitch, I got a calculator in my pocket now. Everybody does.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
The whole idea that we were always going to have to write mail to, write letters with normal mail to people. First of all, even when that's all that I had to communicate with people, I never wrote letters to anybody because I didn't like anybody enough to write letters to them. Same philosophy as I don't get on a plane to go see anybody because I don't like anybody enough that lives far enough away to get on a plane to see them. But no, I remember when I went to kindergarten, I got yelled at by a teacher because I was still they had switched into a new way of printing, right? Writing letters and printing, and they were no longer putting the top line on J's in this type of printing, and I'd learned to write when I was 3. Right. I was, by the time I got to kindergarten, I was writing without any problem. They were giving me things to practice writing. I'm like, I can do all of this. But I got in trouble at school for putting the line on the top of the letter J, which is really hard for me because I had to, what's the first thing you do on any work that you're doing at school? You got to put your freaking name on it. So I'd put my name on it and I'd get yelled at for how the J looked in my name. It's like, it's my damn name.
Yeah,
but no, it's not the way that it was supposed to look. So I started getting very angry with school, and then I got my hand slammed in a car door, and I couldn't use my right hand for like 2 months.
Oh my God.
And so, yeah, it happened.
I mean, I guess that
nothing broke.
I mean, that's good.
Nothing broke. I just couldn't use my right hand, so I had to try to learn to write with my left hand. That was an absolute and complete failure. So as I learned when I was like, I'm going to say my late 20s, and I was dealing with anger issues, and I punched the back of a refrigerator. Interesting note for you, Mike. If you're going to punch something in anger to try to dispel your anger, punching bag is better than something's a mattress, something that's not people. Even though people have parts that can be kind of soft and pliable, we don't want to hit people. That's not nice unless you're like a boxer or something or an MMA fighter. Then that's your job.
I mean, if you're getting paid for it, yeah.
In a normal situation, you don't want to hit people, even though there might be soft spots to hit on people where it won't hurt your hand as much.
That is not an endorsement to hit people.
No,
Stop saying that.
Hit people. But it's better to hit something softer. Do you know what the back of a refrigerator is typically made of?
I believe it is made of coils and like a fucking
this metal.
Yeah,
metal.
a lot of metal.
As
a matter of fact, like the most dangerous part of the refrigerator is in the back of it, and I don't mean just because it's a hard thing. Like if you were to, I highly doubt that a human hand would ever bust that, but if you were to do something that would like expose the chemicals that refrigerate, they're in the back of the fridge, you idiot.
I punched the back of this fridge as hard as I possibly could. I guarantee you that fridge was in no danger of being damaged. No danger at all. My hand, however, was in danger of being damaged. I actually suffered what is called a boxer's fracture because of where it broke in my hand.
Did it shatter your tarsals?
I don't remember the exact bones.
It's the little rocky bones on the inside of the hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the force goes through the knuckles and then you could shatter those and dude, your palm is fucking useless for months.
My hand was pretty much useless. I did not keep the luckily it didn't shatter, they just broke. Didn't shatter, just broke.
Thank God.
But my hand was still useless. It wasn't broken enough for the brakes weren't. The brakes weren't dislocated or anything. They were still lined up, so they didn't have to put me in a cast.
Good.
I wore a splint for a short period of time, I'm going to say a week, and realized that my left hand can't do anything but hold onto a steering wheel. I literally I cannot feed myself. I can maybe hold a beverage. I cannot write anything. I couldn't shift the shifter in a vehicle, and not even a stick shift, mind you, just an automatic shifter. I couldn't do it because it was too hard to reach over with my left hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't even wipe my ass appropriately with my left hand. So I ended up taking the splint off too soon. And that's next time I see you, I'll show you how my pinky finger on my right hand does not line up with my other fingers. in any way, shape, or
Oh
form
my
as a
god.
result of a mishealed bones in there from punching a fridge in anger. So I learned very early on that holding a steering wheel and to some extent, however, whatever my skill level is, fretting notes on a guitar or bass, that's about all my left hand can do.
Oh my gosh.
So I can't even pick my nose properly with my left hand. I still need to use my right hand for that.
Wow.
So, yep.
Terribly sorry about that. Don't punch fridges, ladies and gentlemen.
No, don't. It's not a good thing to do. Find something soft. Not a person, but find something soft. I have to say that part of a disclaimer. Get a punching bag. Work out your aggression on a punching bag.
This episode was quite the adventure today.
It was
a lot.
It was
a lot going on. Like, I don't know how to.
This
I
is
gotta
Mike
find
trying
a title
to think,
for this shit. What am I gonna do? Yeah.
Something about me being tortured and Ed Sheeran. I will say, there's some people who'd make the joke listening to Ed Sheeran's music would be torture. He's actually a very good musician.
Very good.
And,
yeah.
And I don't mind listening to most of his songs. When I have to listen to them on repeat, like many things, they become annoying. But I'll listen to an Ed Sheeran song before I listen to anything by Nickelback.
Of course.
I mean,
of course you're going to bring them up.
Huh?
I said, of course you were going to bring them up. All I'm saying, man, is like...
Or Five Finger Death Punch.
Oh, yeah, those guys are douches. But
fuck those guys.
Yeah, no, those guys are douches. But as far as Nickelback, I'll give them a pass. They're all right. I'll say it.
Okay. So what this means, everybody listening, is that Mike is either possessed by a demon, or he's been abducted by aliens, had an anal probe, and now he's being controlled by them through robotics.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that in response to the look, man, the places where some people, the stances that some people take in consideration to the well-being of others is a big deal to me. And Nickelback was one of those bands that weren't complete fucking assholes this last 3 years worth of time. People pretty obviously know where I stood in the middle of all that shit. And I'm telling you, there were a lot of bands that did a lot of dumb shit or had members that did a lot of dumb shit. And bands that fired those members, like fucking Smash Mouth, get a pass from me. Nickelback went out completely right out there and was just like, yeah, we don't play that kind of bullshit. We're trying to be safe and like take care of people and be good during all of this. But bands like Trapped, I'm sorry. That is, and yes, they are a much worse band overall. I can't fucking stand that band. Trapped is a terrible band. They wrote terrible music. I think they ended up firing that guy either, but I still don't like the music that they wrote. And they stuck with that shit for a while.
Fine. I'll give you this. They may be okay people for Canadians, but their music is still shit.
Look, you hate their music all you want, but
okay. Can we agree on that?
Yeah. You can hate their music all their yes, I agree that you hate their music.
Okay. I can accept that. That works for me.
Like I said, they're not the best band in the world. I'm not saying that I fully endorse the band's music. I'm just saying that they're better than a lot of other bands that came out around that time.
Yeah, and sadly, I have to listen to Smash Mouth on a regular basis. So
I may or may not have actually. I actually found the one Smash Mouth album that came out before they were doing all before they took over the Shrek soundtrack. The one album they did with the one original song, "Walking on the Sun." Yeah. I found that album on cassette for like $2, and I bought it because I was like, this was the only album I liked that they ever did.
Yeah, I have to listen to the Shrek song on way too regular.
That sir is torture.
All-Star? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
But anyway,
terribly sorry.
Mike.
Yes.
Are we done?
I think so.
So, since we're done, where will people listen to James's torture, not torture? And
but then Mike torture?
And Mike talking about Ed Sheeran.
Well, you could be listening to us on our website, theXennialChronicles.com or ZenChron.com. If you don't want to type that much, you could also check us out on most major streaming podcast type platforms like Spotify and YouTube and all that other kind of stuff. You could also
even though streaming is evil now. Go on.
Yeah, streaming is totally evil. Listen to our podcast. You could also check us out on YouTube as well. There's our podcast show up in video format on YouTube. You might be listening to us there. I think we get a few listens there. If we do, if you do listen to watch us on YouTube, then go ahead underneath the video. Make sure you click the like button next to that. Click the subscribe button, and right next to that, James, what do?
Click the bell.
That's right. Click the bell and make sure that you get notified the next time we actually have another podcast, because who freaking knows when we're going to actually have one. I have no idea anymore.
Hopefully next week again. By the way, I said it. I said the click the bell thing instead of singing it because now I'm worried about getting sued.
Oh, yeah. I don't want
some,
you got to watch that.
Yeah, I don't want some Motown songwriters.
Parody is like, dude, parody is wishy-washy, man. You got to be careful.
I do, and I'm not as cool as Weird Al. While you're there checking out our YouTube page and liking and subscribing and clicking the bell, please make sure to check out Mike's other YouTube pages. This is not the only one that he works on. And let's admit, Mike does the majority of work on this. I just talk and say things. Mike makes it all really happen. He does the same thing on his two other YouTube pages. The first one is Ruling Note Music. This is all Mike all the time, talking about all things music. So Mike and music.
Oh, Mike all the time. Oh, God. That might be the slogan for that channel, dude.
Huh?
That might be the slogan for that channel.
For Ruling Note Music?
Yeah, all Mike all the time.
There you go. So please check that out. Like, subscribe, Ruling Note Music. And then there's the YouTube channel that has content from their this is a Twitch thing, right?
Well, no, the other one is it's also a YouTube channel mainly. Every once in a while we're on Twitch when we can make it happen. That is Chronicles Games.
I was going to say the name. You took the name away from me.
I'm sorry.
This is where this is the channel where Mike and his wife are playing video games in chronological order of the story of the game, not in order of the release of the game.
Yes.
Specifically embodied in the Legend of Zelda series, which have been released for like 40 years or something now.
Dude, the new game's coming out. The new game's coming out in what, like less than 2 weeks?
And the timeline is so messed up that you actually need an encyclopedia book thing to completely explain the whole thing. So
basically, yeah, and it's still people still don't understand what the fuck's going on with it. So
yeah,
that's the thing.
I sure don't. But anyway, check both of those out. Like, subscribe.
I got the new OLED. It's pretty. Sorry.
Huh?
I got the new Switch OLED, the Zelda OLED that came out. It's pretty.
I got the white OLED a long while ago.
Oh, nice.
They are pretty.
Yeah, they are.
Anyway, check those out if you want more Mike in your life.
Yeah.
All right.
I finally beat that stupid invisible drone in Metroid Prime. That video came out literally today, the day that we're recording this podcast. It was a bitch.
I don't play Metroid.
Oh, well, the Prime series plays nothing like the other Metroid games, like the regular Metroid side-scrolling games. It's ridiculous, and I have a hell of a time.
Because it's a first-person shooter.
Yes, it's a first-person shooter, but it doesn't use conventional first-person controls. So, like, if you play Halo, you can't fucking play Prime because it doesn't play that way.
I know,
the new version of Prime on Switch, though, plays like that. It plays with tank control. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, thank you all for listening, and we'll be back again, hopefully soon.
Yeah. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in, friends. The journey continues next week.